Assalamu alaikum, my friends. I think it's important that we take stock a bit, and I want to share with you the 5 or 6 most contentious positions that I've taken on this channel and that have ruffled a few feathers. Number 1 is the Salah, my position on the Salah. Now, I have a position that I based on the Qur'an, solely on the Qur'an. I look at 80 or 90 places where the word Salah is used in the Qur'an, and I have constructed an understanding of that concept of Salah. As-Salat, the word As-Salat, definitely does not merely refer to a ritual. My position is that, as with the word exercise, you can have exercise as a concept and you can have an exercise session. Similarly, with Salah, you can have a Salah session which is not denying the greater position of exercise. Now, what is the greater Salah? The greater Salah is a sense of observance, right? The greater Salah is the idea of observance, capital O. And observance, there are other words that I use for it, like alignment, like compliance, right? But observance, I think that is a very suitable word, means that you observe the code. If you are a muqim as-salat, if you are an establisher and upholder of salah, then you are an observer of the code. You observe the will of God, and that is the greater salat, as-salat. Now, to say that you make salah, yes, you can make salah. That means you go and you physically have an act of observing the greatness, the majesty of Allah. But the format, the detail, the minutiae of the salah, that is nowhere in the Qur'an. That is not even in a hadith. Those who say that it is in a hadith, they are misspeaking. The salah that we know, the format, is a construction of Imam Abu Hanifa, of Imam Shafi'i, of Imam Ja'far Sadiq. It is a construction of Imam Malik, because Bukhari did not exist at the time when they were writing how to make salah. Do you know that? That there was no Bukhari when Imam Malik wrote his salah rules, or when Imam Shafi'i wrote his salah rules. There was no Bukhari, there was no Muslim, there was no Ibn Majah. Those came only 100 years or 200 years later. So the salah is an agreed, the physical salat is just an agreed format, a convention that some of the scholars have arrived at, and a convention that incorporates the idea of connecting, of bowing down and worshipping and connecting with your Supreme Lord. But it is not in the Quran, and it is not in the Hadith. You have to construct it. But remember, like I said, Bukhari wasn't around when Imam Shafi'i, when Abu Hanifa, when they wrote their books on Salah. Bukhari wasn't around. Right, number 2 point that is giving people maybe some cause for concern on the videos is my idea of Hadith. Now, I, of course, believe, not like Quranists, that there is no book except the Quran. No, there are many books. There are books of scholarship. There are books written by modern day scholars, by ancient scholars. The Hadith books are books written by researchers and by scholars, like Bukhari's book, Imam Muslim, Shafi'i, Ibn Kathir. These are all books that were written by people who did research. Yes, their motives should be taken into account. If they worked for a sultan, we should understand that they wrote in a way that will please the sultan of their time. Nonetheless, my position is not that there is no other book but the Quran. I have Bukhari there on my shelf. I have Muslim. I have all the books. I have access to, I read them also. The problem is that we do not regard those other books as sacred. You see, those books are not sacred because they are not the product of a human. They are not the product of the divine. They are the product of a human mind. Now, yes, even if they claim that it is the words of the Prophet, it is still spoken through the mouths of ordinary human beings. So if I say the Prophet said this and this, doesn't make me the Prophet. You understand? So my position is, any book, any hadith book, any historical book, any seerah, any tafsir book, they require corroboration, and they don't have divine status. That's the second point, and I hope you will understand that it is not a position that is fringe or weird. It is a position that makes complete sense, because once you regard human beings' books as divine or sacred, then you end up having those books in conflict with the Qur'an, challenging the Qur'an. Any book can have truth, but they require corroboration. That's my second position. A third position that I have that might be contentious for people is the idea of zakah, because I base my understanding of the word zakah on also the broad reading throughout the Qur'an. And the Qur'an clearly states that the Prophet has come to zakah the people. The Prophet is there to zakah us, and we should zakah. We should bring zakah. Now the zakah is erroneously, in my reading, translated to 2.5%. I can't find anything in the Quran that says there's a 2.5% financial tax that is zakah. No, zakah, if you read it properly, if you understand it properly, means moral cleanliness or moral refinement. And the Prophet ﷺ, his mission was to refine the people morally. Now I've got three now already, right? Number one, the Salah is an act of observance of a code. Hadith books are not sacred. They are subject to corroboration. Any book, any journal, any paper, any scientific argument, subject to corroboration. And we can indeed have history books, but we need to use corroboration between various pieces of information. Number three, zakah is about moral refinement. Moral refinement is about spreading cleanliness in society, cleanliness socially. So in other words, staying away from sexual promiscuity, immorality, from any other social ills, and that is zakah. It is cleansing society morally. Right. So there's another point that I think that is very contentious, and that is the video that I made on the wudu. Now the wudu is based on, there's one verse in the Quran, I think it's chapter 5 verse 6, and in that verse Allah instructs the believers, when you prepare, when you're ready, or when you are going to establish a salah, right? A salah, which means observance, some sort of observing an event, standing on your mat, going with people, attending a salah session with a community. Before you go and attend, before you approach it, before you join up in salah, first wash your hands and your faces. First wash your hands all the way up to the elbows and wash your faces. And then rub your head and rub your feet. Now, I know that some of you say you must wash your feet, but that is contentious because the masah is accepted in all the madhabs of Islam. Even Sunnis believe masah over socks, Shia believe masah just over the foot. So, we will agree, my position on masah is not contentious, right? I say masah head, masah feet. Is rubbing the head, rubbing the feet. Now the question is, what breaks your wudu? Now the difference that I have in the contentious part is that I am faithful to the verse. The verse is saying, yuridullah ayutahirakum. God wants for you to implement hygiene, good hygiene. That is what this verse is stating. And all I'm saying is that wudu is an aspect of hygiene, of personal hygiene. It is not a ritual. You see, if you just jump out of the shower, out of a swimming pool, you are not dirty, my friend. If you just swam in the ocean, you are not dirty, my friend. And if you're going to attend a salah session, you don't need wudu, because the point is to clean yourself, to be hygienic. And when you come out of the shower, you're already clean. So what breaks the wudu? That's the other problem. There are those who say that they invent a myriad of things that break your wudu. Touching a woman, maybe a passing wind through the bottom. And those are not mentioned in the Quran. So all I'm saying is that there are things that are breaking the wudu, like if you should get filth in your arms, you should wash it off. Right? But breaking the wudu, that concept of breaking wudu is not in the verse. So the verse is all about when you are clean, you don't need wudu. When you have wudu and you lose cleanliness through dirtying the arms or the face or the head, then you redo the wudu. So that is the point of the wudu. And what people are finding contentious is, yeah, but you're saying people can go to toilet and then they don't take wudu. No, you wash the parts that are contaminated when you go to the bathroom. You don't wash your face when you've defecated. So you must be very rational about this. The wudu is not a ritual. But what we should always do is the common parts of our body that we should refresh with water is the arms and the face, because those are the parts that we will get into contact with other people. So that is the wudu. And then the next one I want to deal with is the position on Jumu'ah. Now, what I said is the Qur'an says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha nudiya lis-salati min yawmil jumu'ati fas'aw ila dhikrillah wa zarul bay'. You see, the whole contention is around the idea of Yawmul Jumu'ah. Now, my reading, my studies have shown me that the name Yawmul Jumu'ah, the fifth day, the sixth day of the week, right? The sixth day of the week, Yawmul Jumu'ah, has been named Yawmul Jumu'ah 200 years before the Prophet. So that word Yawmul Jumu'ah was around. It's not something that the Prophet invented and said one day, I declare Jumu'ah to be the sixth day of the week. You see, so there cannot be sacredness in the day if it was a practice before Islam of Jahiliyyah. You see, so Jumu'ah, and it doesn't go back to Musa or to Isa or so, because Musa was given the seventh day as the rest day, which is Saturday. So the Saturday is the Sabbath day. That is agreed on. Even the Muslims called the seventh day Yawm Sabt. Even the Arabs call it Yawm Sabt. So the Sabbath day is the seventh day. It's Saturday. Right. Now, why the furore around Jumu'ah? Because I'm saying that Jumu'ah is an old existing tradition of the end of the week, business day, trading day, performance day, when the performers, the entertainers come out. And when we say Yawmul Salatul Jumu'ah, we mean the Salah of the busy day, of the day when people are busy trading, selling, buying, entertaining out in the streets. And the verse in Qur'an, إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ, it is not إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ. It is إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ. So it is the Salat that takes place on Jumu'ah. It is not the Salah of Jumu'ah. There is no Salat tul Jumu'ah. There is Salat mi yawmil Jumu'ah. Please, that I'm simply faithful to the reading of the text of the Quran. And when you read it like that, it means that there is a Salah every day, we know, right? According to our understanding, Salah is a regular institution. It is gathering, it is worshipping, it is reminding ourselves of God. Now, when people are being called on a busy day to attend those reminder sessions of God, contemplating, reflecting, discussing the Quran, the verses, if it's on a busy day, you should even be more meticulous about cutting off the entertainment, cutting off the business, and attending the Salah. So that is I think the fifth most contentious. Now I want to throw in a number 6 because this is bonus one. Now let's look at the fasting, because on this point again, the people that have given me a lot of flack in the comments are the so-called Qur'anists. And they're not even all of those. They are the people that overanalyze and inspect the verse and not look at the words in general. Now, the fasting is covered in chapter 2, verse 183, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you read those verses, you go give that verses to any child, and they will tell you that fasting is abstinence. Fasting means abstinence. That's what the ancient dictionaries also say. Fasting is abstinence. Abstinence from what? Now you could say, no, it's abstinence from sex. No, but then sex has been made a special point. So sex is mentioned there especially. So what other abstinence is there? What other thing can human beings abstain from for a month? Talking. That's nonsense. Talking is not a stretch to abstain from. I would gladly abstain from talking for a day and prefer than eating and drinking. Abstaining from what? The only thing that human beings can abstain from that has health benefits, that has social benefits, is abstaining from food. And so if you read those verses there and one verse in another part of you can come to no other conclusion that the fast is abstaining from food. And if it takes a massive stretch, and you can go and watch the videos of those people who make that fringe claim. Their arguments are weak. I've seen the arguments. That makes no sense. Fasting is about abstaining from food and drink. And so that one is just thrown in as a bonus one. But those are the points that I think people find most contentious. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.